Hello everyone! Welcome to Legal Recaps. In this video, a family story becomes the centerpiece of a legal battle that challenges notions of accountability and protection. At the heart of this case is a man whose actions are brought under scrutiny for alleged economic abuse, which is considered a violation against women and children under the law. Stay tuned as we explore this compelling case and how the courts weighed the evidence. Let's dive right in, shall we? As a young couple brimming with love, hope, and dreams of building a life together, Amy and Cesar took a leap of faith and tied the knot on a crisp November day in 1995. Their union was a promise of forever, sealed with joy and anticipation for what lies ahead. Just a year later, their love story grew richer as they welcomed their greatest blessing, a baby boy named Barry, their pride, their joy, and the heart of their growing family. Amy and Cesar worked tirelessly, their combined efforts providing a comfortable life. Their days were filled with hope, love, and the steady rhythm of building a future together. Life seemed perfect. But as the third year unfolded, cracks began to show. Cesar's quick temper, once a flicker, now burned more intensely. Heated arguments became a regular occurrence, their voices clashing in a home that had once been peaceful. Little Barry, their only son, often stood as a silent witness to their heated arguments. In October 1998, the strain reached a breaking point. Cesar left the conjugal home, leaving behind a family fractured by tension. He went to Canada, vowing to support his son despite the distance. Though he sent what he could, it still fell short of sustaining the life they had once envisioned. Their once bright dream was now overshadowed by the challenges of separation and unmet promises. Through the years, Amy faced the relentless challenges of being a single mother with unwavering determination. As a seafarer, her job kept her oceans away from Barry, but her love for her son never faltered. Every sacrifice, every lonely night at sea was for him. Then, in 2010, tragedy struck. Amy fell seriously ill, a blow not just to her health but to her livelihood. Disqualified from continuing her work as a seafarer, she watched helplessly as her savings dwindled, consumed by medical bills and the daily costs of providing for their own needs. Desperation pushed her to reach out to Cesar. She was hoping for a lifeline. But Cesar's response dashed those hopes. He claimed that his business in Canada had gone bankrupt and is unable to provide the support she so desperately needed. Amy thought this was just an excuse to evade his obligation as a father, as it made their path forward grow more uncertain. When Amy could no longer endure the weight of providing alone, she turned to the law for help, filing a case of economic abuse against Cesar under Republic Act 9262, the Anti-VAWC Against Women and Children law. In his defense, Cesar argued that his circumstances were far from simple. After becoming a Canadian citizen, he had sent financial support to his family from 1998 to 2005. But life took a sharp turn for the worse. He was convicted of sexual assault in British Columbia, Canada, and was sent to prison, only regaining his freedom in 2010. Struggling to rebuild his life after incarceration, Cesar found it nearly impossible to secure a steady work. In 2011, after more than a decade, he returned to the Philippines due to the death of his father, only to find his path further blocked. A hold departure order issued in connection to the case that Amy filed prevented him from returning to Canada, leaving him trapped in a web of unresolved obligations and personal failures. The regional trial court found Cesar guilty beyond reasonable doubt of violating Section 5I of Republic Act 9262, which states that causing mental or emotional anguish, public ridicule or humiliation to the woman or her child, including but not limited to repeated verbal and emotional abuse and denial of financial support or custody of minor children of access to the woman's children. On appeal, the Court of Appeals reaffirmed the ruling of the regional trial court. Thus, on the brink of being imprisoned again, Cesar's last hope rests on the final verdict of the Supreme Court. The main issue here is whether or not Cesar is guilty of violating Section 5I of RA 9262. The court ruled that Caesar cannot be held liable for violating the said law. Why? Because while he may be accused of willfully denying Amy and Barry of financial support, such act to be punishable under Section 5I must ultimately be proven that it was done with the willful and malicious intent of inflicting mental or emotional anguish upon the woman, thereby inflicting psychological violence upon her, with the willful denial of financial support being the means selected by the accused to accomplish the said purpose. This means that the mere failure or one's inability to provide financial support is not sufficient to rise to the level of criminality under Section 5I, even if mental or emotional anguish is experienced by the woman. In other words, even if the woman were to suffer mental or emotional anguish due to the lack of financial support, but the accused merely failed or was unable to so provide support, then criminal liability would not arise. A contrary interpretation to the foregoing would result in absurd, if not outright unconstitutional, consequences. Contrary to the findings of the lower courts, the Supreme Court ruled that the prosecution failed to establish beyond reasonable doubt that there was willful and malicious intent on the part of Caesar in denying financial support to his family. On the contrary, the records of the case show that Caesar did his best to provide for his family, but eventually failed to fulfill his obligation due to circumstances beyond his control, which was being imprisoned in Canada. These pieces of evidence clearly belie the accusations of Amy. Therefore, for Caesar to be held liable for violating the said provision, it must be alleged and proved that he deprived Amy and Barry the financial support legally due to them, for the purpose of controlling their actions and decisions, which clearly are all wanting in this case. Again, to recall, what the evidence of the prosecution simply proved in this case is that Caesar failed to provide financial support, and nothing more, which is insufficient to warrant a guilty verdict. In the end, the court delved beyond the surface, piecing together the complexities of Caesar's situation. It became clear that his inability to provide was not a matter of neglect, but of circumstances beyond his control. The ruling was a testament to fairness, ensuring that the law was not wielded as a weapon against someone facing genuine hardship. This case stands as a reminder that justice is not just about enforcing rules, but about understanding the lives behind them. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and don't forget to subscribe for more legal recaps.